This is the curb that yesterday I red guarded. The wood underneath here, it's treated wood, but I did throw some red guard on it. Use it as a glue layer to wrap my membrane liner around. So now what I'm gonna do is pour a concrete curb here. And so in order to pour a concrete curb, I need to put some forms. So I measure them out, and since this is already lower than this, I can use a 2x6 here, and I can use a 2x4 here, and it's gonna have just enough perfect slope to level off into the shower. So it'll be just a little bit higher on this side than it will be on the shower side. And I'll show you that when we get to that point with the level. So right now I'm just gonna start building this form. I'm gonna leave about probably 1.5 inches between each of these sides. Or maybe just 1 inch, a little over 1 inch. So I got about 1.1 inches. I'm gonna bring this back a little bit. There's 1.5 inches. And on this side, I'll bring it back just a little bit. Now I got 1.5 inches, so make sure it's like that on all sides. So we got about a 6.5 inch curb. The height above this is going to be right at, 1.5 to 2 inches. It'll be higher at this point to like 2.25 inches. So I'm gonna get some shims and start shimming this in. These are going to be right behind. See, I cut them a little bit long. So I have to redo my measurements again and retrim these. This board has a little bit of a bow in it. 25. I cut these down to 25. I have to measure some supports going from this board back to the wall on both sides. It's going to be 2 different measurements. This one is 44.5. This one is 68. 44.5 and 68. I got some shims too. I'm going to be throwing these shims in the corners to just tighten everything up instead of screwing it into the wall. Just don't want it to move. It's not going to be so much concrete. It'll be so heavy, but I do want to make sure that it's stable. Sturdy being pushed this way, being pushed this way. Since there's only a little bit of concrete, it's not too heavy. So we'll be able to just use these boards without screwing them in. So I need to get some caulking and caulk down here underneath this board, make it a nice little edge for the concrete to go in. And if I can get an extender and drop a bead of caulk down there too, along that end. But for sure on this end, it needs to actually have quite a bit of it after there, and then it needs to cure before I pour. Might even drop another coat of red guard on this now. Underneath the concrete, have a couple layers of red guard. So I'll probably clean this off with a little rag and do that. 6 inches. Okay, so I'm making progress on the bathroom. I have a little funky stuff happening up in here, but tried to edge the door. I still have to patch a few little sliver holes along this side and fill in a few of these gaps on this side, the small ones, and that top strip up there. Along with, I started above the floor, so I need to tile all the way down to the floor. Eventually, I have the curb form laid out. That's how it looks from the top. So I'm gonna go get a little piece of wire mesh and wrap it around there once I start pouring some concrete in the sides here, and just kind of keep it together. I just towel around here, right behind the door, and right up into there. So I'm getting a little better at tiling. I'm really proud actually of this wall. It's pretty straight considering all my cuts and stuff. So, you know, you can do this stuff straight. I think the key to this ingredient was when I added the board on at a level underneath the tile. That was the first layer, because then that first row's level, and then everything kind of stays pretty level if you keep it in right. I did break the toilet. I was putting the tank back on, but we got this like cement style stuff that's supposed to be really strong. So hopefully we fixed it. But anyways, making a lot of progress. The next step is pouring this curb and then finishing the tile and then throwing grout on the whole thing. We'll check back with you in a little bit. Okay, so I ran a nice thick bead of caulk all along the bottom of the board there. So if you look on this side, the shower has a gap. So I don't want the concrete to come out from underneath that gap. So I got a nice thick bead of caulk that's clean and smooth with my finger. Pretty smooth. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some red guard along this whole piece here and then fill up those edges with some more red guard, and then the concrete will go on top of that. Alright, so I got the grout line sealed there. Concrete's going to go around top of that. I still left my white caulking line because that's going to be the edge when that cures up for when I pour the concrete. So I'm going to let this set up and cure for a couple hours, and then I'll mix the concrete and we will get that going. So I got the form all put in. This one won't go back, so I'm just going to keep it at that place there. I didn't screw it in, so it can kind of still push forward, but I'm going to be packing it in, so it'll be good. I've got my 3 pieces of mesh here that I'm going to be packing in on the top and the edges in the middle of the concrete just to hold it together. It's galvanized, so it won't rust. But I'm going to seal the ledge too once we put it in. This is also leveled to where this is a little bit higher than this one, so the water will drain into the tub. And then I'll just put my glass doors right on top of that when it's done. But let's get mixing. So I'm just going to use some regular old floor mud for this, and I'm going to trowel the top smooth. So I'm going to start mixing. I've calculated the space in here. It's probably going to be about 1.5 bags, possibly 2, but I imagine it'll be about 1.5 bags. So I'm going to mix up 1 and basically a half bag here that I have left over. And we'll get going. I'm actually going to switch to a bigger tub. So it calls for about 2.5 to 3 quarts per bag for a dry pack. So I'm probably going to need about probably 5 quarts, but I'll start adding and start mixing. There's 2 ounces, or 2 quarts. This is how you want it when you pack it together. It makes a nice little ball. You don't want to add too much water to this to dry mix. So now we basically just start packing it in the holes. I'm gonna pack down the little bottom piece.
What?
Oh, I'm talking to the camera.
Oh, good.
And then I'll shimmy it into place here. And keep packing around it. I might actually put this down in there. Yeah, weight, pretty sharp. Ah, that's a bummer. Troweled it a little bit, but I'm going to trowel it a little bit more now. Just kind of squirt that cream off the top. I'm getting it. I mean, it's looking pretty good.
That's perfect. Like that.